In this video, we are going to discuss about should you choose startup or MNC for as a software tester if you have a certain experience or even as a fresher, which company you should choose. All right, so let's get started. And today's topic is again very simple, which is basically startup versus MNC, which type of company that you should choose. And in this video, we're gonna discuss from the important point. I'm gonna talk about my experience because I have worked on both startup as well as on MNC as a software tester, of course. So I'm gonna discuss about that. All right. So let's dive into it. So first point is, let me pull up my notes, which is basically, I hope you are able to see, which is learning. Guys, learning is super important. And let me put it into this there. Learning is most important thing. And if you are choosing a startup versus if you are choosing MNCs, there is very large difference. I'm going to tell you why. So when I have started my career, I have choose basically I was into a MNC. And what happened? What happened is that in MNCs, what the problem here is that there are fixed principles, fixed processes, and fixed tasks needs to be done, right? And everything, most of the things that you can think about are already done. So what they are doing is most of the MNCs, or you can say multinational companies, are in maintenance mode, or either they are creating certain new features, but definitely they are using some old stacks, as well as they have a very limited set of learning whenever we talk about a software tester, right? And when you jump to a startup, you basically have an opportunity to give to basically dive into some other fields also. So basically means, let me give you a very simple example in this case. So when I was in MNC, I was in Accenture, I'm not gonna lie, I had a very limited responsibility, which was creating manual test cases and automating them by using a platform called, at the time, I think that was QTP, and right now it's renamed to UFT something. So that was the limited task that I had to do. But when I was in startup, I can do lots of POCs because there's no process. It's up to you what you want to do, and the learning curve is nearly a J graph. Right, you will do something like this. So this is one of my experience where in startup you can learn whatever you want, where you can perform whatever you want. You don't need to get a this. I mean, you don't need to get so many approvals as compared to the MNCs, right? So that's one of the important advantages. And trust me, if you want to do something different in MNC, for example, suppose we want to switch from UFT to Selenium, we had a very hard time because the company was not ready, client was not ready, and that was one of the things, right? So learning point of view, again, I would say that MNCs can give you very limited set of learning. I can be wrong, guys, but I was a part of MNCs for like two MNCs, and this is what I have noticed. And in startups, I mean, basically, I have in the first startup, I was doing automation of a mobile app. In the second startup, I was doing web automation, and in the third one, I was basically handling the whole architecture and all. Right. So my experience about learning is definitely the point goes to startup in this case. Okay. And let's jump into the second point, which is, let me pull up, which is, I hope you are able to see, which is growth wise. So what exactly is growth promote? Growth basically means whatever that you are doing, you are getting the right work that you want to do. I mean to say, for example, in MNCs, I was getting a very specific task and this was expected to me. And if I'm able to deliver, that's fine. But in startup, if you are doing something extra, even in MNCs, if you are doing some extra, you are recognized. Of course, you are recognized, but in startup, your recognition factor is very high. Why? Because there's a limited I mean, in most of the startup have very limited team size, and if you are doing some extraordinary work, definitely it will get recognized, and you will have a more growth for this, right? So my point goes, again, if you are choosing between startup and MNCs, think twice for the growth perspective, right? What is your growth after 4 years? I mean, if let me tell you again the similar point. So why I have switched from the MNC to startup, because I've seen that this startup can be a good startup at like 3 years, and I will get more opportunities. I mean, my opportunity basically means I can learn mobile application automation also, I can learn web automation. But if I was in only in the Essential and MNC at the time, I was only learning UFT or QTV at the time, right? And I was not exploring API testing. Means it is not like you're not allowed to do that, but definitely if that work is not available, you will not get an opportunity in MNC, right? So that's my point, right? So that I hope you are getting the point here, right? If you are getting value from this video, guys, hit subscribe right now and let's move on to the point number 3. All right. So which is, let me see if you are responsibility, right? So responsibility is basically means in startup, what happens is you will get a responsibility, I would say more responsibility as compared to MNCs. So in MNCs, you will have a certain task that you have to do, that you can do that, and that you are good to go, right? But in startup, you are expecting basically company startup is expecting more and more work from you, and you have given more responsibility. So what happens is all the people who are starting out with the 2 years experience, fresher, or even 5 years experience, if you get more responsibility, you will get more exposure, and you will get more exposure. It basically means you are learning more and you have a more growth in this case, right? So overall, by using these 3 points, I'm totally saying that definitely, if it is a good startup, definitely go towards more startup as a QA, because you're gonna learn more things in that. But this is not exactly the case with every startup, because I have seen certain startups are only basically giving you opportunity to do manual testing, and you are stuck at that if you join that company. So basically, I've seen a couple of startup where they hire you as a automation tester, and they will basically only allow you to do manual testing at that case, right? So that's not a good startup for you, right? You will not get more growth. You will not get responsibility. Of course, you're getting the work, but that is manual, right? That you don't want to do probably, right, at the time. So make sure you pay attention to these 3 points, 3 points, 3 points in this, right? And I hope you are basically able to judge which one you have to choose, a startup versus an MNC, right? This is Pramod. Thanks a lot for joining in, and I hope you have learned something new. Hit like if you have learned something, and if you have any doubt, let me know in the comments. I will definitely help you. Definitely will try to help you. And I read every comment, guys. So make sure you write it down. I'll definitely will reply or probably give you a love. All right. Thanks a lot. I'll see you in the next video. This is your host, Pramod.